Alright, so I'm running out of space in my phone software. Um, so I'm going to have the latest videos be something closer to a PowerPoint presentation. So you'll see like random static images rather than um, anyway. This topic of this video is it's a new age slash Quora question that a few answerers such as Rena Nola, Preston Touchman, Richard Martini, um, Tessalin have answered. I'm gonna have my videos with that theme. I suppose it's not just Quora. There's a few other websites and offers, such as Kevin Williams and let's see, Michael Newton, an offer and another offer named PHM Altawater. Um, Apologize if I mispronounced some of those names because some of the pronunciation might be incorrect. But the idea is I'm not a guru. I am not advocating any religion. So please take this video with discretion because religion is a very controversial topic. But I wanted to discuss decisions one can make because a lot of the thing is decision making is a topic that stresses some people out. Choices, right? That could stress some people out because, um, we used to making choices like what products to purchase, whom we prioritize interaction with. That includes dating and selecting marriage prospects. That also includes who to promote. If one was a employee on a higher level hierarchy, choosing who to promote, choosing who to hire, and choosing who to fire. We make decisions all the time. What car to purchase, what um, between choosing to purchase an expensive house versus an apartment or condominium, or of course, um, lifestyles such as you know, like I don't know, a trailer house or in a lower class neighborhood. We make these decisions to choose all the time. We take a vacation, etc. Right? But we're not used to talking about something that's not concrete. Because religion sometimes covers abstract concepts. Um, uh, you know, uh, so this new age spirituality is, it just summarizes some elements of Buddhism, Hinduism, and the earlier Catholics. The earlier Catholics discuss reincarnation. Nowadays, the Catholic Church does not discuss it on a regular basis. So we clearly see that this new age spirituality is some weird uh, spin off or sect or branch that stemmed from the 1970s hippie movement in the United States. But of course, we no longer have that type of culture. But, it's a little different. We clearly see with the internet that, but Quora takes things a little different, where a few writers have discussed things in a way that is very or it's just quite direct. Um, it's direct because we clearly see that this topic is simplified in a way that some writers on Quora simplified it in a way that is very easy to understand, but of course, using the internet can be straining on the eyes, as opposed to reading a children's book with pictures. Not just that. Quora does have a lot of pop-ups. You have to log in, sign up for an account, have an internet. So the internet. There's so many other things to do, right? It's just the thing is, I unfortunately I'm at a point where I have to reorganize my, maybe I have to get a new computer. I have to make these decisions. Do I purchase a new computer? Do I, you know, do I decide which brand, right? Where the product is sold. I have to make these decisions too. These decisions come at a cost because, um, you know, like at some point I have to delete some apps on my phone. I could do that instead of purchasing a computer. I could, there's all these things I could do, right? I'm not discussing microeconomics here, though that is somewhat similar. But the primary discussion is the concept of a gap. Now, a gap is not something like, it's mostly referring to a spiritual concept where somebody requires a belief in reincarnation to understand, where one basically, if the year that the person last died in a past life, because reincarnation has the idea of having multiple lives, but mostly discusses past lives, where the last year of their past life was over 1,000 years ago. Now, of course, I'm not going to explain what reincarnation is. You could easily research this yourself. There's many resources you could do that, and I don't really want to discuss that because I'm not an expert in religion. But up to the point where that is actually the reason why the clothing store brand company Gap was formed, is actually for that reason. That is not because of any other reason. Now, you might be thinking, you could browse Wikipedia article, for example, or the website, the official company website, and they would never tell you this. The reason why they don't tell you this is because, well, first of all, their customers could be of any religion, or atheist, or no affiliation, right? Because of that, they can't have controversial statements like that on their company or whatever. It can't. It's not that they won't. It's just not. Most of their employees don't like to speak like that. That type of language usage is just not correct, or at least, it might not be politically correct, or it's just those type of people don't get hired. And not just that, it's just, that type of language utilization is, the word choice is just something of, it's just those type of people don't typically apply as employees of the brand. There's plenty of other places to be employed in, right? So, the Gap company is a clothing company. It's like, for example, but I'm not discussing about fashion here. I'm discussing about, just a brief, I discuss this briefly because, the idea of reincarnation is controversial to people who have the belief in internal destination for an afterlife. And that include, some branches of Christianity don't believe that purgatory is permanent. It is temporary in some branches of Christianity. For example, purgatory is the idea where, where the person is supposed to go to heaven, but they're in something similar to a waiting room, where it's not heaven, but it's it's basically like they have some branches of Christianity believe that of some souls sent to purgatory that they could easily reincarnate, and then that would be the last judgment for them. Or that's just Christianity based on my understanding of that idea. Now, other religions have different variations of their beliefs of afterlife. So, and we clearly see, anyone studies history, or the religion as a major, that there are lots of different religions. That many of us never heard of certain religions before. I'm not going to list names because there's lots of them. There's lots of religions. But the idea that I often concur is that some topics are so controversial to discuss. But remember, the internet did not exist for most of Earth's history, especially human history. The idea of a sacred item or a sacred idea or a sacred person comes to mind. And not just that, because life was just not easy prior to the invention of electricity, or the invention of the internet, or the invention of plastics, electric cars, etc. Right? Prior to these inventions, life was much harder, objectively speaking, and because it was harder, they have to have these ideas, and not just because these ideas exist, but because they have to have something that is like sacred to the point where it is forbidden to have any negative associations with it in terms of you know or otherwise you're thought of as someone who is not faithful to religion. You might be thought of as an outsider, or you might be thrown in prison. There are many stories of people thrown in prison in world history. But the idea of religion is, the idea of taking a gap year is basically, because some of the New Age terminology is a little confusing, because, some authors just, some writers on Quora jump to the point and just say, discuss what the words mean. Others are a little more cautious, and others just avoid the subject completely. And the reason they